welcome everyone. Just giving folks a few moments to get into the room. We're delighted to have the Baruch Asian Heritage Alumni Network host tonight's celebration of Lunar New Year and having a professional networking event as well. My name is Janet Rosbeck. I'm the Director of Alumni Relations and Volunteer Engagement for Baruch College. And this is our third event of the Baruch Asian Heritage Alumni Network. And I'm just very excited about tonight's program as we've been partnering with alumni across a variety of industries and 2 student groups, and I think we will have a wonderful occasion. A quick note before we jump in, later this evening, we will go into industry breakout rooms. And so that I know which room you want to go in, I ask you to go into the participants box and adjust your name to say your name and then either account A for accounting, F for finance, C for consulting, or R for real estate. So that's A for accounting, C for consulting, I'll do it in alphabetical order, F for finance, and R for real estate, so that when the time comes, I can put you all into the right breakout rooms. So thank you very much for that. And with that, I am delighted to introduce Po Sit, one of our co-chairs of the Asian Heritage Alumni Network. Po.
Great. Well, thanks. First, let me say happy birthday to all of you, because today is the 7th day of the Lunar New Year. And according to the Chinese tradition, this is the birthday to all mankind. So happy birthday to all of you. This is, as Jana said, is our third event. We held our first kickoff event in the middle of the summer, in the middle of the pandemic. We also had an event in November, and now this is our third event to celebrate the Lunar New Year. So now it is my great honor to welcome President David Wu to this event. As many of you know, President Wu is the first Asian American to serve as the president of Baruch College. As I thought about how I should introduce him to all of you, I decided that I'm not going to read all of his outstanding criterions or credentials to all of you, since they are online anyway. And instead, what I did is I reread all of his blogs, which I strongly recommend all of you to read because they are fascinating. And after I read his blogs again, I thought that the best way for me to introduce him is by quoting some of his own words in his blog. President Wu, as all of you may know, grew up in Taipei, Taiwan until his early 20s. And in his first blog, he first explained his journey that led him to Baruch. Now, it's very interesting to me that he didn't come to Baruch for a better life for himself or his family. He didn't come for fame. He didn't come for money. He didn't come for the privilege. And in fact, he lived a perfectly happy life when he served as the provost and executive vice president at George Mason University. Instead, I'm now quoting his word now, quote, "As I started to achieve some success and recognition in my academic career, I found myself wondering, am I making a meaningful impact? I wanted to do something to help people who may not be as fortunate. I have always wanted others to be offered the same opportunities I was given when I came to America about 40 years ago. Unfortunately, that American dream is slipping away for far too many people." He saw the challenges faced by many talented and motivated young people in the middle and lower classes, and saw Baruch as, quote, standing out as an important model among higher education institutes. Therefore, no one should have any doubt about President Wu's commitment to our wonderful college as its president. He then described very interestingly in his blog how he felt when he landed in New York City. Quote, as I walked down the busy streets, I feel a sense of purpose and a burst of energy and enthusiasm I have not experienced for a long time. In a strange way, I feel as though I am coming home. During my welcoming event at the college in February last year, I felt my younger self sitting in the audience, looking up and wondering what the future held, hopeful and energized, just like 40 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you our first young and energetic first Asian American president of the college, President David Wu. David,
Thank
the
you.
floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul, for that very generous introduction. I guess I have to disagree with you on one account, which is, I can't call myself a young a president, but certainly I hope I am still energetic and certainly full of hope and energy for this fabulous college. And as I said often, one of my greatest joy since I became president, and actually you count the time of the announcement has been a little over a year already. Is a little hard to believe. What I enjoy really the most is my time interacting with the fabulous alumni that we have of this institution, and including Paul and Christine, and both of them are on the board of the Baruch College Fund, and who I see pretty often, and then in many opportunities to meet many of you as well in the process. So actually, my first ever event that I have attended for Baruch was a Asian Heritage Alumni Network event back in June before I even started, and that was truly the very first event very first Baruch event I have attended officially as incoming president at that time. And so with the leadership from Paul and Christine and many others, I think this Lunar network is really thriving. So I also want to take this opportunity to thank some of our panelists you're going to meet later in this evening, Gloria Shai and Charles Han, Cece Don, and Jay Chabrody. So these are panelists and who has volunteered their time to share with you their Chinese New Year experience. And so before I hand it back to Paul, I want to share with you a little bit of my own experience celebrating Chinese New Year and well, I guess Lunar New Year, which shared by many of you with Asian heritage. And so, of course, this is the time for family gatherings. And as a matter of fact, since both of my kids are in the city, and we were able to get together last week, and we did a very typical Lunar New Year thing, which is we all sit down and make dumplings together. So we make the dumpling from scratch, which means that from the wrappings to the fillings and everything else, we basically did it together. And of course we did this for a couple hours, and we kind of hang out and sort of have fun or making fun of each other in terms of the weird shape dumpling that we make. And then I think we must have made a couple hundred of them before we put them with a very different way, different cooking methods that you could do with dumplings. So we had a great time. And growing up in Taiwan, and one of my favorite Lunar New Year pastime, some of you may know that one of the custom is on the New Year's Eve, the parents normally would give little kids a hongbao, or what is basically a pocket money in a red envelope that little kids will receive as part of the on New Year's Eve. And my brother and I always spend a part of that pocket money we get to get firecrackers. And so we would roam around the neighborhood, and I still remember my favorite type of firecracker is this kind that you can light with a matchbox, and you can actually throw it into water, and it actually explodes in water. So we were fascinated by this, and sometimes we tie it on the boat and do all kinds of things with the firecracker. So that's my fond childhood memory of Lunar New Year's, is to roam around the neighborhood and with our playmates and with my brother and playing with firecrackers. So that's my little sharing in terms of dumpling making and firecracker. And so I'm sure many of you enjoy some of the similar things when you are going through your childhood and experience your own Lunar New Year experiences. So with that, I'm going to hand this back to Paul, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight, and happy the Year of Ox, and as we say in Chinese, 恭喜发财, and 大家新年好. Thank you so much.
I think, Janet, you are going to run the program for us.
Very good. Thank you so much, President Wu. I look forward to our going to Asia together in the years ahead, and connecting with our alumni abroad as we continue to celebrate our Asian network here in the New York area. Christine Li Ayung, our other co-chair of the network, would you like to say a few words and introduce our student groups?
Yes. So first of all, thank you everyone for coming tonight. 恭喜发财, 恭喜发财. That basically, you probably hear that a lot during Lunar New Year. And what that means pretty much is like, we wish you prosperity. That's how we greet each other in Chinese. When we see one another during New Year, we wish everybody prosperity and good fortune in the new year. So one of the traditions I have with my family is my mother likes to make a ninggao, which is the Chinese New Year cake, and we actually spend the whole weekend doing it. And we do that every year with my sister. So, and the reason why we eat cake, and you'll probably see it in one of the presentations later, is because the word for cake in Chinese, the gao, means that it's also a homonym for the word that means like rising and getting higher. So you eat a lot of cake and hoping that everything good will become more and more in the new year. So that's one of the traditions we have. But we have two wonderful student organizations that have come to present on the various Lunar New Year traditions from Vietnam and also from China as well. So we're going to start with the Vietnamese Student Association, and they have presented a very beautiful presentation for us tonight. And the presentation will be given by the Vietnamese Students Association's president, Jeannie Chen, their vice president, David Hung, and also the vice president of events, Tang Chen. So we will turn the floor over to them for the presentation.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna start the presentation. Thank you, Janet, for hosting this amazing event, and thank you, Christine, for the awesome introduction. So we are a undergrad student organization in Baruch, and we really try to educate the student body about what Vietnamese culture is like. And we'd like to take this event to educate everyone about what activities are often done, as well as certain traditions. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, awesome. So what is Tet? Tet is the annual Lunar New Year celebration in Vietnam, and people will often take this chance to get together and celebrate with their families. And it's really important in Vietnamese culture to have a really large feast where everyone comes together and eat, but people will also take the time to reminisce and celebrate their ancestors and spend time with their families as well.
Okay, so how is it celebrated in Vietnam? You know, some of the ways that the Vietnamese people celebrate Tet. They visit a relative's house on Son Nha. Number two, they worship ancestors at family altars or graves in their homeland. Three, they wish everyone New Year's greetings. Something very similar with the Chinese traditions. They give lucky money. They would often also decorate with peach blossoms, kumquats, and orange trees. And they would also buy food to make nu wa or on tao. So some of the more often foods that the Vietnamese people eat are nu wa, bánh chưng, and on tec. The clothing, the more traditional clothing that is also wear are áo dài or áo gams for the males. And these are just like some of the greetings. So Chúc mừng năm mới, it means Happy New Year. Kum chúc tân xuân, which means gracious wishes of the new spring, and Som lao tam toi, which means long life of 100 years.
And then for some activities, so watching fireworks is one popular activity celebrated during the Lunar New Year in Vietnam. Giving out red envelopes is also very common. And also there's a Vietnamese gambling game called Bao Cua Tom Ca, and it's a game that's played during the Lunar New Year with children and adults as well. And then do's and don'ts. So the Som Qua is the first visit of the new year represents your luck. And usually the first visitor is expected to go to a temple and pray for the good luck to the host that they're visiting. And the host is also expected to to represent good hospitality. And they would also pray for good luck in return to their visitor. And just for some don'ts, some taboo is the wearing black and white clothing, as that represents bad luck. So visitors are expected to wear bright clothing. And on day 2, people will visit their friends, and day 3, people will visit their teachers as well.
So thank you so much for having us. We just wanted to say cảm ơn, which means thank you, and hope that you guys will practice these greetings as well. And Happy New Year of the Ox.
Thank you so much
you.
for the Vietnamese Student Association for this beautiful and animated presentation and sharing the traditions of how Lunar New Year is celebrated in Vietnam. So now next we cross the ocean and go to China, and we have Ascent. And Tiffany Chen is president, who's here to present on some of the Lunar New Year traditions for China. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Tiffany.
Thank you, Christine. So thank you so much. I will be basically giving you guys a run through of some Lunar New Year celebration traditions. Fun fact, it's the year of the ox, and I'll get a little bit more into that later on. So when is it celebrated? So Chinese New Year is celebrated for 16 days from Chinese New Year Eve to the Lantern Festival. And typically it falls sometimes between January 21st and February 20th annually. So before we really get into everything, I do want to start off with an activity first. So people, you guys can all use the chat box for this, but I do want a participant to unmute themselves to name all 12 Chinese zodiacs. Is anybody up for the challenge?
Anyone? Just
No
unmute
worries.
yourself.
Yeah, I can do it.
Go for it.
Wonderful.
I think first start is rat, then ox, tiger, and rabbit, dragon, and then snake, horse, and sheep. Sorry, I'm just have to translate from Chinese.
No worries. Take your time.
And a monkey and a rooster, then dog and pig.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And those are the 12 signs: rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep or goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. And I know that this was just a short activity, but I would love to see what everybody's zodiac animal is. So feel free to use the chat box to let us know your year as well as the zodiac animal. I am the year of the dragon, so I was born in 2000. So the year of the ox is going to be a very lucky year because it's the perfect time to focus on your relationships. So whether it's for friendships or love, 2021 is going to be a year when your work gets rewarded. So I hope that most of you had dinner because I will be showing some really delicious food. These are some of the lucky foods to eat during Chinese New Year. The very first one is fish, which increases prosperity, dumplings, which brings in wealth. We also have tangyuan, which is, it's sweet rice balls, sorry, which means family togetherness or families stick together. There's also good fortune fruits, typically oranges, bring about wealth. There's also niangao, or glutinous rice cake, which is higher income or a higher position, like Christine mentioned earlier. There's also noodles, which brings happiness and longevity. They look really, really delicious. Some of the more popular colors to wear on Chinese New Year are red, which symbolizes that happiness, success, and good fortune. We also have yellow, which is royalty and power of the throne. And for green, which is money and wealth, today I am wearing green. There's also gold, which is representative of richness and nobility. Second activity, how good is your Chinese? So basically, feel free to use the chat box, but I would like one participant to unmute themselves and tell us what is the Mandarin translation for wishing you happiness and prosperity. Give me a red envelope. Anybody would like to unmute themselves for this?
I'm sure there's someone who knows.
I'd like to give it a try.
Great.
Yes, thank you.
I think it is 恭喜发财红包拿来.
Perfect. I love your pronunciation. It is 恭喜发财红包拿来. We have a second auspicious phrase, which is Happy New Year and may all go well with you. Anybody would like to give that a try?
I could go again, I guess.
Yes, thank you so much.
新年快乐，平安如意. I'm not sure if that's correct. I'm sorry, it's been a while.
Very close. No, thank you so much for participating. That is very close. So it's 新年快乐，万事如意. So it's very similar. But yeah, it basically means Happy New Year and may all go well with you. So the red envelopes is a pretty big deal. It's also called the hongbao. So in Mandarin, and it's basically small red and gold packets containing money that you can give to children, family members, friends, and even employees as a symbol of good luck. In Chinese culture, the color red is associated with a lot of energy, happiness, and good luck. Now some of the do's and don'ts. I really hope that none of you did the don'ts. But the do's are clean your room, Clean your room before Lunar New Year to get rid of any bad luck residing. But don't wash your hair. Don't wash it, don't cut it on the first day after Chinese New Year because you'll be washing all the fortune out. Unfortunately, this year I accidentally washed my hair on the first day of the Chinese New Year, so I hope that my fortune does not run out this year. For the do's, you can also eat lots of dumplings. So dumplings are delicious and eating it symbolizes lots of wealth. Don't clean post-Chinese New Year, so make sure you clean up before midnight of the new year, as you don't want to clean away the good luck. So what was something that surprised you this year, and how did you manage to celebrate Chinese New Year during a pandemic? Feel free to use the chat box to let us know. Thank you. Happy Lunar New Year, and may good luck and wealth be with you.
Thank you so much, Tiffany, for the presentation. That all the yummy food makes me a little bit hungry now that it's around dinner time. So I know originally we're trying to get the Korean Student Association to present for us on some Korean traditions. Unfortunately, they're not active this year, but I just chatted with one of the old student mentee I have, Cassie Lee, who is of Korean descent, and she is happy to talk to us briefly about some of the Korean traditions that are celebrated during Lunar New Year. So Cassie, if you could unmute yourself, the floor is yours.
Thank you for introduction. Hi, my name is Cassie Lee, and I'm a proud Baruch alumni, and I'm here without preparation, and I'm just whipping something up, but Happy New Year, everyone. And by the way, Happy New Year in Korean is 새해 복 많이 받으세요. So that's similar to anyone's, we say Happy New Year in Korean, like, oh, I hope you receive a lot of fortunes this year. And we gather around, of course, with family and friends, and mostly family though. And we celebrate with food and all the happiness and joys and sometimes fights. And I think that's true for any holiday, right? So I was lucky enough to spend some time with my family before this Lunar New Year. But I know that a lot of people could not spend time together with their family because of pandemic, but Happy New Year, everyone. And I hope this was enough.
Thank you so much, Cassie, for sharing the greeting and some of the traditions for Lunar New Year in Korea. So now we're going to turn over from the cultural portion of our event to the professional networking of our event, where we, as you know, we have 4 alumni speakers who have taken time out to celebrate Lunar New Year with us this evening. And so we're going to start off by having each of our speaker introduce themselves very quickly. They're going to introduce their name, their class year, the degree, and their current title and the company they work for. And then we're going to have a very brief session just so we get to know our speakers a little bit. And then we go into our breakout room. So I'm going to start, and we're going to first do a quick round robin of our speakers, and we're going to go one by one and have everyone introduce themselves. So we'll start with Gloria Shi.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Gloria Shia. I'm class year 1999, so that's a long time ago. MBA in concentration in accountancy. Currently, I'm a private wealth advisor at Goldman Sachs.
Next, we'll go to Sisi Dang.
Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. And I want to wish all of you a very happy, very, very healthy year of Ox. I hope this year brings us a lot of good fortune. I'm just glad that 2020 was over. That's all. So I graduated in 2007 with BBA degree in accounting. And I'm currently a director at Marks Paneth. For those of you, if you haven't heard about Marks Paneth, it's a mid-sized accounting firm. We are the 14th largest accounting firm with headquarters in New York, and we provide accounting services, tax, and advisory services. I'm so happy to be here with all of you today.
Thank you. Next, we have Jay Chakraborty.
Yeah, hello. My name is Jay Chakraborty. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. I was actually an MBA specializing in finance and international business, and I graduated in 2006 from Baruch College. Currently, I'm a partner at PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the big four accounting firms, but I do work in their advisory consulting business, and again, focus in most of the financial services company. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And next we have Charles Han.
Hi, everyone. In light of keeping up with the spirit of this webinar, I'd like to say Happy New Year's in Korean as well. And let me try that. It's 새해 복 많이 받으세요. That means I wish you all very much fortune in this new year. My name is Charles Han. I'm with a company called Newmark Knight Frank. I suppose we're one of the big four commercial real estate brokerage firms in this country. I am a graduate of Baruch undergraduate program. I graduated in 2012 and have a degree in the real estate investments and a minor in economics. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you all of you for having me.
Thank you to our panelists for being here. Next, if each of the panelists could share their career journeys with us, and in particular, what were some of the challenges that they had to overcome as Asian Americans to get to their current position today? So if anyone wants to begin, feel free to jump in.
Okay, I guess I can start. So I graduated in '99, and after graduation, I joined Deloitte as an auditor. 3 years into Deloitte, I started looking because all of a sudden I realized the cohort of my class are pretty much all gone. So I was thinking to myself, okay, I must be missing something. And started looking. And before I know it, I joined this broker-dealer, which is a subsidiary of Guardian Life Insurance called Park Avenue Securities as an assistant controller. And then I worked at Park Avenue Securities for 3 years. I believe that I have reached my upward mobility, so to speak. And I started looking again. And this time, after 10 rounds of interview, I joined Goldman. I started out Goldman in the New York office. By the way, I've been with Goldman for almost 16 years now, so that was a long time ago. I started out in the New York office as controllers, and 2 years into my job, the firm asked me to go to Asia to help out our subsidiary in China because they needed someone with the language capability as well as the cultural background. So I went there. Of the 9 years that I spent in China, 3 years I worked firstly as co-head of China controllers, then as head of China controllers, and then the following 6 years as the COO of our private wealth management in China. In early 2016, I've decided to come back for a personal reason, for family, to be close to my family. And I came back as a private wealth advisor in our private wealth management because I just like that division a lot. So to really talk about challenges, thinking back in time, I think I have been very fortunate that I don't think I really faced challenges as an Asian American per se. I mean, I faced challenges, do not get me wrong. There are a lot of challenges. Every role that I switched, before Goldman or within Goldman or like a new job. So, but it's really not, because I'm an Asian. And maybe sometimes as a woman, but certainly not. I didn't feel like I was being disadvantaged as an Asian American. So I guess, in a sense, I am very blessed.
Thank you, Gloria. Next, I guess, Charles, would you like to tell us your career journey in real estate?
Yeah, certainly. So in 2012, when I graduated, I suppose we were still at the beginning of the recovery cycle, from having gone through the great financial crisis of 2008. And I must admit that, the job market at the time wasn't the best one, since then. So, but nonetheless, I was a late bloomer. I worked in fintech industry for several years, I began, investing in real estate in 2007. That was kind of like several years into my previous career, and had some money saved up with, and we ventured with a couple of friends from high school and colleges, and we were buying real estate properties throughout New Jersey. So come 2008, we had our socks blown off with all of the issues that were prevalent in the marketplace. Mainly, I remember, going through the trouble of trying to collect rent from one of our commercial tenants at the time, and we were not successful. We ran into deferred maintenance issues at our investment properties, and that required a capital call amongst the partners to try and cure that. And then while all of this is going on, I said to myself, I really like this business. This real estate business is fascinating to me. So that's when I, had a calling to, come to Baruch and join the real estate program here. And I came for knowledge, but what I really got out of the program was a confirmation that my passion in real estate is genuine. So I was very fortunate. I had a professor who taught the real estate finance course at Kestenbaum, Real Estate 3200. I was one of his top students, A's across the board all the way. And I was looking for jobs, the job postings actually on Craigslist. So I went to my professor that day and I said, hey, professor, I think I'm gonna try and go get a job here because, I'm not really having much success elsewhere. And he said, no, you're not. Get me your resume, I'm gonna hire you. So, lo and behold, he was actually a partner at a boutique real estate investment firm with several, of his, partners. And then he had brought me on as an intern. And that internship eventually blossomed into a full-time role. And then, he eventually, after having the pleasure of working with, this professor for a number of years, introduced me for a position at the current firm that I'm working in today. And so I've been with my firm for almost 9 years now, 9 years and 50 pounds ago. So I think that Baruch has been truly a launching pad for my career, which I'm extremely happy with. And I started in the business at my company as a retail properties appraiser, but rather than looking at strip malls and neighborhood shopping centers, I was working with a lot of the pension funds who own retail properties and some other investment managers like AIG and pension funds like Teachers, CalPERS, Meisters, and those types of clients. I eventually ventured out of retail, got into institutional portfolio group within Newmark Knight Frank, and over there I started engaging again, mostly pension funds and investment managers on quarterly reviews and audits of their real estate assets, and I was helping with the valuation aspect of that business. And then I ventured out of that, still keeping within the same firm. I joined a consulting group at Newmark. It was still very analytically focused group. We, instead of working on purely valuation types of assignments, my new role then was working with a lot of the Fortune 500 companies in the United States that we were serving as our clients. And, we were just essentially hired on as the real estate agents for these big firms. I mean, I still maintain a good relationship and I'm still on these assignments. For example, I've been working with NASDAQ, the company, not the index, for better part of the decade, looking at their real estate portfolio and whatnot. But lastly, after having been a corporate real estate advisor, I switched over to the debt and equity team at at a company called the Capital Markets Strategies. So rather than working with Fortune 500 companies who are not necessarily real estate focused investors, now I focus on international capital markets, cross-border transactions. I speak to mostly institutional investors overseas who are looking for real estate investment opportunities here in the United States, whether it's debt or equity, and that's how I came to be. I think, but going back to your main question, Janet, the challenges of being an Asian, it certainly does exist. There is a stigma that we are very good at math, and that is not true at all. Even though I have a quantitative background in my career, I can't say for sure that I'm good at math. I do think that I'm a people person, and that's played out very well for me in my career. But otherwise, oftentimes I found myself, doing the financial models and being the guy on the team that's very organized and always being polite. And, some of these, stigmas is there. I'm not offended by it at all. I embrace it. I like being polite to people, and I don't want to be rude. The real estate business in New York is very aggressive by nature. But otherwise, yeah, I think those are some of the stigmas that exist today. And I think it was important for us to utilize it, learn from it, and then embrace it. So just like what Gloria had felt, I feel like I'm very fortunate that I don't have negative feelings about my ethnicity, and I'm very proud of it, very proud of being a Baruch graduate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. And you've done quite a lot since you graduated from Baruch. Next, we go to Sisi, who has, if you could share your accounting career with us and how you became one of Crane's notable women in accounting in last year. That would be wonderful.
Of course. Thank you. And I haven't moved around as much, so I don't have as a lengthy experience as Charles have had. When I graduated from college in 2007, I got lucky because I didn't graduate in 2008. From all the stories I've heard, that's not the year you want to be graduating with. So I graduated and landed on a job in 2007. So I graduated with a job waiting for me pretty much. So I was very fortunate with that. And again, it was really because of Baruch. I applied through Baruch College, through CDC. I got the opportunity for interview and I got my first job. That was with UHY. It's a mid-sized accounting firm. I spent 4.5 years there doing mostly commercial audits, some public audits. And I used to travel a lot. Most of the clients were in tri-states. So I got used to driving around, spending a week here or there. After 4.5 years, that's to a point I started having family, started having my first child. So for personal reason, I felt like I had to move. I couldn't do this public accounting anymore. I was actually hoping to land a private job, but it didn't quite work out. And the recruiter kind of talked me into Marks Paneth because the not-for-profit group is known for being very regional. 95% of the clients are in the city, which kind of sold me. All right, if I don't have the travel, I can deal with it. So I went with that. And ever since I've been there for 9 years now. And I actually really appreciate the group I'm in right now. Everyone's very supportive, very nurturing. I've learned a lot over the years. When Christina said, how did I become the notable woman named by Cranes? One thing that the firm had taught me was they put me in this networking class 2 years ago, which taught me how to network and the importance of a network. So through all these things, I started thinking about, oh, right. Like other than doing my daily job, I have to start going out network. One thing is I joined Baruch's EOC. I started doing a lot of things. I joined not-for-profit boards. I started volunteering my time. I live in Long Island, so I also serve the committee of Girl Scouts in Nassau County. I also serve on the board of local botanic garden in my neighborhood. Start doing all these things. I guess that's what made me being named by Cranes for all the volunteer work that I've been doing. That's one thing. The second thing is that one thing when you talk about challenge, I think the main challenge for me was public speaking. because I did have language barrier. Now, when, I tell my staff, like English my third language. I was born and raised in China. I was born in Wenzhou. I don't know if anyone here knows about the city. I was born there and up until high school. Then when I came to Baruch College in 2003, that's when I immigrated to the United States. Everything was new to me. I was very fortunate that Baruch accepted me as a transfer student. So ever since then, language was one thing I had to work on. And I guess I got lucky. I ended up marrying a guy who, my husband is American-born Chinese. So he kind of helped me brush up my English a little bit. But communication you work on, you practice as you start working, you get better over the years. But one thing hit on me was when I became manager at Marks Planet, I do really good client service. I know what I'm good at. But when I became manager and I realized I have to present to the board, to the audit committee all the time, and it's not something that I feel comfortable with in the beginning. Like, talking to people face to face, back and forth, FQA kind of thing is easy, but if you present, and it was a whole new thing, and I had to learn. I'm still learning, but I have to say that you do have to overcome that. I know public speaking is probably the most fear that people have, but so important. And don't get discouraged, even if you have language barrier or accent. We are doing that. I definitely do. But I think in order to move up, in order to be seen, you need to have that skill, because you could be really good at technical, right? You can book journal entries, all of the accounting, all the rules, but you have to be able to articulate that with your clients and be able to deliver the message and teach your staff in a way that people can understand. So that's something I think that's really important, especially for us. For those of you come from similar background as I did, where English is not your first language, definitely if something that you don't feel comfortable with, I think you should start now. Don't wait till the day you realize that you need that skill. Get started early. I wish I started when I was in Berkeley or even earlier, but never too late. That's something I learned on the way, and I hope, that I could help, I could deliver that message to all of you today.
Thank you so much, Cici. I think you touched on two very important points for Baruch alumni, especially as they move up into management position, networking, and also getting good at presentations and public speaking. I think those are definitely two skill sets that our alumni have to develop as they move up in their career. And we hope our Asian Heritage Alumni Network will provide a forum for everyone to come back home to Baruch and have that opportunity to network and practice your public speaking skills here in more of a safe zone, back in school, and then you're prepared to go out and excel and soar. So next we will have Jay, and he will talk to us a little bit about, Jay, your career in consulting at the Big Four.
Yeah, Christine, so I was listening to everybody, Gloria, Charles, Cici, and I think it's a combination of different things. But I think one thing I ought to touch upon, and I'm sure a lot of the current students do think about that, especially the people who have either came as transfer students or people who are first generation immigrants, meaning that is the big deal today in any industry, regardless which industry you go to. And me, myself, coming from India, what I told in my prior introduction, that I did my MBA in Baruch in 2006. But before that, I had almost had about 8 years of work experience, both in this country as well as in India, more so in India. So when I came, and as an immigrant, first generation immigrant, I think we all have our challenges. And I think as Asian American or wherever you come from to this country, I think that is one of the biggest challenges that you will face. And I think the strategy to manage that is to make sure what everybody else spoke before me. You have to make sure you're good in networking. You have to make sure you pick up every single opportunity that comes your way. And you have to make sure you're not shying away from anybody. All of us here do come with the skill, whether it's a math skill that probably Charles has, or communication skills. But we all come with something. And I think, especially in today's world, in terms of the focus on diversity and inclusion, and then every single company is actually either has a chief diversity officer or a chief inclusion officer. I think we have got a lot more avenues to get help. So I think for my life and my career, and in fact, I had more years in this country outside of a Big Four than in Big Four. But all of this, a big portion of the struggle, if we can start with that, is going to be the legal immigration status, and then how do you keep on being here and keep on working and feeding your family. So that's one. And then at PwC, I think at like any other big firm, any other respectable, big reputed firm, you do have a support system. So you're not alone in terms of going through these challenges, but you ought to make sure you raise your voice. You shouldn't be fearing anybody. You shouldn't be too much of stressed out with the challenges, but you got to ask for help. And I think that will go a long way, especially in today's world. Like 20 years back, 30 years back, probably the world is a little bit different. But right now, you'll see a lot of Asians up at the top, a lot of brown people at the top, a lot of the African Americans at the top. So I think diversity is a strength. And I think that's the biggest thing that is there in the society today. And I think we all ought to take comfort in that and, again, rise to the level that we can do.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, thank you for all the panelists for sharing your career journeys. Before we break out into the separate groups, we have one last question for our panelists so that everyone get a chance to hear a little bit about the industry trends, so that they won't miss out if they pick one room over another during the breakout session. And we want to ask the panelists, like, what innovations do you see coming up in your industry as a result of the current COVID-19 pandemic? And I guess we could go with Charles with real estate, because we know commercial real estate has been impacted greatly because no one is going into work in the office anymore. Everyone is working from home. Oh, Charles, you're on mute.
I love talking to myself on mute. So in New York City, I think the current numbers are right around 10 to 15% of the workforce are heading into office today. And I'm part of that 85-90%. I've only been back to the office twice since when the pandemic began. And it's presented a lot of challenges along the way. And at first, I think that people just generally adapted very quickly in this climate. You know, we immediately went into a mode where everyone needed to be acclimated to the new technology and, you know, communications platforms within the firm, as well as the security measures that were implemented since the pandemic began. And then it's really become a second nature to us. And one thing that I'm starting to notice more and more is, even though there isn't necessarily a need to have a video call every time, you know, calling someone, I'm on the phone 10, 12 hours a day. And, you know, it used to be just sufficient, but nowadays, because, you know, I think we're all just starting to miss each other and being near each other and, you know, taking the time out to go out and, you know, have these human interactions. And since we can't do that, more often than not, like, we're pushing for Zoom calls, you know, as much as possible. So I think, I know that's not the coolest innovation that you guys might have been expecting, but I think it's certainly a change that I see in my business.
I can chime in here. That's actually one of the things that I have noticed in my industry as well, because, you know, as mentioned earlier, I'm a private wealth advisor. So it is my job to stay in touch with my clients. And the private wealth business is really very high touch. There's a lot of face-to-face interaction. And it's really hard to do it over the phone because, you know, why would people want to give you millions if they can't even see you? So one of the things that we try to push for is Zoom. But I'm sure some of you have also, I don't know if you have the same problem, but I do. So, you know, you got to make sure you look really presentable on a Zoom call, whereas on a phone call, you can be, you know, however you want to be. So this is something that I noticed that it is, you know, it is painful sometimes, but it is an innovation that I've noticed in my industry, in my role in particular.
I would agree with both Charles and Gloria as well. That's what I was going to say anyway. The main thing is utilization of virtual platform since the pandemic. Before the pandemic, I attend a lot of committee board meetings, and it's almost always 90% in-person meeting. People feel obligated to attend in person if they're busy. They really try to make their time and schedule. And usually you get like very minimum amount of people that call in, and there's never a virtual thing. But now it becomes such a trend. It's like, it's even better actually, because now you get to see people on camera. Those that always call in, now they're actually on camera. You get to see how they look like. Even us internally, we rolled out Microsoft Teams as soon as pandemic started. Before that, we weren't really good with that. We kind of still sending emails and things like that. But we wrote our team because we need that internally to send quick messages and establish a group chat within the audit team. So for us, it's big challenges. We used to perform audits in the field. Since the pandemic, and everything's remote. So being very creative in certain things. For example, we conduct fraud interviews through Zoom. Inventory count, believe it or not, you could do that on Zoom. Sometimes we used to review those big files in testing. If clients cannot scan those big files, for us, we do the same thing. We pull on the camera. Okay, I see the signature. So be very creative. I think it's a good thing because I feel like going forward, I would feel less obligated to attend all the meetings in person now that it's much more acceptable that you just join a meeting virtually. I like this trend. It's working out for me.
Yeah, and I think one last thing is on the same topic, meaning the collaboration and the videos and everything. I think we all like it, and of course everybody's using it. But I think we are seeing also, like, just from an overarching view, macro view, some people, and some of us know that it's called Zoom fatigue, right? So people are getting tired of being on the video all day long. My daughter has to go for her classes video. She's a young teen, and she cannot. She has got headaches and this and that. So I think more and more also, I think we are seeing clients, companies, especially the one that are probably a little bit mature in the process, are actually giving that flexibility to their staff, to their employees, to be not on video. And I think that's one key important aspect, that yep, Zoom in and video calls are good, but it's based on your comfort level. So that's one. And the second thing is, I think one of the other interesting things is the overall awareness on health and well-being of employees. Like, a lot of the companies today have instituted a role, chief medical officer or chief well-being officer and things like that. And that is new. None of us thought about that particular role in a business, profitable corporation coming in. It is good for hospitals, but why in my company? But right now, a lot of the companies, especially because of this pandemic situation, they are creating new roles. Again, the chief medical officer kind of astounded me, personally speaking, because I never thought about that even 2 years back. So that's interesting.
Can I add my perspective? I think one thing that people should realize is that having a social event is still very important to your client. And one thing that I see in my organization is that the social event officer become more and more important, because before we just say, okay, let's organize a dinner, let's organize lunch. It's not a very difficult thing. Now, if you ask them to organize a social event online, they have to do more research. I think that business is going really well, the social event business. And in fact, one of my young associates just decided to resign and basically open up a social event program. And so I think this has become more important. And I hope that alumni, when they talk to their client, don't forget the social aspect, the human aspect, the personal aspect, and I think that is important.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I think that's so important. But I think one of the advantage in the last year was in my work, I've been connecting more people around the world that I normally wouldn't be able to connect with because everybody used to want to meet in person. But now you open your camera and turn on Zoom and you adjust your time zone to figure out a mutually like time that works for everyone. And I feel I'm connecting more with people from different locations more so versus before it was really like New York metro area based. You meet someone live somewhere for coffee or dinner or an event, but now you're able to meet people from around the world because of the technology that we have. So now I'm going to turn the floor over to Janet, who will zoom us into the different breakout rooms so that we get to network more with our speakers and listen into a more in-depth presentation on the industry trends in a particular sector.
Perfect. Yes, we have 4 breakout rooms, and I will direct you all into those momentarily. As Poe mentioned, it would be nice for everyone to get to know one another in the breakout rooms. You have 25 minutes, so perhaps do a round of introductions and then Q&A. So have a good time. We will bring you back at 7:25. You should have received an invitation to go into the rooms. Charles, did you get your invitation?
I did.
Okay. Marco?
Hi, I joined in a bit late. I don't think I got an invitation to any of them.
Okay, let me see what I can do. What room who is speaking? Marco?
Well, yes.
What room would you like to go to?
What are the breakdowns of the room?
It's finance, accounting, real estate, and consulting.
Can you put me in the consulting room?
Sure.
Perfect,
One
thanks.
moment. Marco, I put you into consulting. Great.
Yep, it just popped up. Thanks, God.
Great. And Fu, let me see. Brian, I think I've assigned you. Welcome back, everyone. I know we could have probably chatted for another 45 minutes, but we wanted to stay as close to on time as we could. I hope you all had some good conversations. Gloria is going to tell all of us in the finance room about how we can get into Bitcoin.
Please feel free to contact me and love to chat further.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear folks are networking. And if you're willing to share your LinkedIn address in the chat, I encourage you to do so. So that we may stay connected. There's also the Asian Heritage Alumni Network LinkedIn group, which I invite you to join. And I will put in the address for that in a moment. Christine, Liayong, anything you'd like to wrap up tonight's event with?
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, in our consulting breakout group, I think Jay answered many questions, and we hope it's the same for all the breakout groups that we have tonight. It was an opportunity for everyone to network with one another and learn a little bit about the industry you're interested in. And we want to thank all 4 of our speakers for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us tonight and share your time and give back to Baruch and share your experience and help the current students as well as alumni. We know with the pandemic and work that everyone has so much to balance right now. So it's not always easy to take time out, but thank you so much for coming back to Baruch and sharing your experience with everyone, and to the student organizations that created all these beautiful presentations on the different Chinese Lunar New Year traditions with Vietnam and China, and also Cassie for being spontaneous by my request and being able to jump on the floor and share some traditions about South Korea. That's wonderful. So thank you, everyone. And thank you to President Wu, who joined us this evening and giving his remarks, his opening remarks, and also sharing his experience with us about his Lunar New Year. And also we have Helen Mills, who is the president of the Baruch College Fund here with us tonight, who was in our breakout room. Thank you, Helen, for coming and supporting the initiative for the Baruch College community. And thank you, Janet and Nicole and the entire alumni relations team for putting everything together, working behind the scenes so that we have a seamless event where everyone gets to celebrate.
Thank you, Christine, for your leadership and moderating our panel. Posit, would you like to wrap us up this evening?
Sure. I think that I would like to just thank everyone for participating. As we celebrate this new year, I want everyone to remember that many of our Baruch students are struggling during this difficult time. And as a result, the BCF, the Baruch College Fund, with the blessing from President Wu, decided that we would like to kick off a Stand Up for Baruch fundraising event. We want to raise $50 million. No, sorry, $5 million, sorry. I add a zero. So please consider making a donation. As Christine remind me, number 8, the number 8 is a lucky number for under the in the Chinese tradition. So if you could make a donation, please make a donation, and with the ending amount of 8, you can donate $888, $8,088, whatever. So even $8, we would love it. So if you could do that, that would be great. I think that there is a link connected to the event, Jeanette. Is that right? Okay.
Yes, there's
great.
a link.
So I want to again thank all of you to inviting us to your home tonight. I assume most of you are at home joining this event. I wish the year of Ox will bring you and your family safety, health, and happiness. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next event. Thank you. Good night.
Beautiful. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe, stay warm. Happy New Year. Stay resilient in this year of the ox.
Thank you,
Good
Jen.
night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.